Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle Barrett. I've been a personal stylist 25 years. I now help people like you build capsule wardrobes that mix and match easily. So I've been listening to all your comments and making notes about content, etc. So keep those coming if you've been commenting, because I listen and reply to every single one of them. And one of the things that came up was that you would like to hear about sort of seasonal trends. So today I've got the top 10 autumnal fall trends for 2024 for women over 60. So what I've done is I've trawled through all the predictions for this year and I've pulled out a few that I think you might be interested in. If there's any that I list today that's not for you, you think, oh, I would never wear that, there's even some that I wouldn't be as comfortable in, then just put those aside and choose the ones that you do feel comfortable in, that you look at and you think, oh, actually, I'm going to have a look through my wardrobe and see if I've got anything similar to that, or if I can kind of recreate that look with what I've got. Now, the interesting thing is that I think years gone by, trends for women over 60 weren't even looked at. It wasn't even really a thing. I think people were concentrating on the house, they didn't have a disposable income. And over the last few years, obviously that has changed. So a lot of women who are over 60 have a disposable income, they can spend it on themselves, and they like to still look good. They don't want to kind of feel like they look frumpy or tired, and there was always this misconception that, it's mutton dressed as lamb, people are trying to be too trendy, or they're not being trendy enough and they're too frumpy. It's that typical thing that we're put into all these derogatory categories that are totally unnecessary. So the pieces and the styles and the trends that I've picked today are all kind of reflective of, I think, a stage of life where you still want to look good, you still want to look like you are fashionable and that you're well put together, and you want to look like you've considered what you're putting together. But also there are certain things that you probably wouldn't feel comfortable wearing anymore, i.e., completely sheer dresses, for example, or crop tops. So what I've done is I've picked out the pieces that I think that would be most beneficial to this age group, but that are also exactly bang on trend. The other thing that's changed in recent years as well is the fact that now I think women are more interested in being maybe a little bit more vibrant or a little bit more colourful. We're often seen as being sort of beige and kind of hiding in the background. And I would suggest, if you are somebody who likes colour, then absolutely go for the colour, go for the patterns. If you're somebody who prefers the neutrals, stick with the neutrals. That is the beauty of building a capsule wardrobe that works for you, is that you can choose what you want to put in it without being influenced by people on the outside. Now, before I go on, thank you so much to everybody who has commented, liked, subscribed, shared, because every single one of those things absolutely helps me create more content for you. So keep it coming. Let me know what you think. Let me know what else you'd like to see. I promise you I'll reply to every single comment, and I do make notes when you make suggestions, and that is why I'm bringing this to you today. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I've got 10 different styles for you today, and the first one is probably the hardest to pull off, I think, and that is leopard print. Now, personally, I've never been a huge fan of leopard print, but it is one of those things that either can look very, very cheap and nasty, or done well, it can actually look fantastic. In addition, as well, I see it's one of those things that frequently comes back. It's not leopard print. It's not something that comes back sort of every 10 years. It tends to come back every couple of years, and it tends to be in the winter. So it's not unusual for that to be about. So what I've done is I've got some outfit ideas here that I'm going to show you, of suggestions of how you might be able to wear leopard print. Now, if leopard print is something you already have in your wardrobe, then obviously you can just grab that out. If it's something you're confident in wearing, that's fantastic too. Now, obviously you can go all the way from having, a faux fur leopard print coat, like full length coat, or a trench coat in a leopard print as well, which is quite a bold and significant statement. Now, if you decide to carry it off like that, what I would suggest you do is having kind of really simple block colours underneath. So, maybe a plain colour blouse, plain pair of trousers, or something, a plain dress underneath, so it doesn't kind of clash the patterns. However, there is one thing that you could do which Dolce & Gabbana got away with in, I think it was the 1990s, the early 1990s, when they mixed kind of leopard prints with floral prints. Because that's the next one that I'm going to talk to you about as well, is floral prints are in as well. So if you wanted to do something like that, that is even bolder. So it's about kind of wearing your leopard print and then maybe wearing a floral dress underneath. Now I kind of think it's got to be like the sort of rose colours works quite well if you're going to do that, and you're going to get away with that. So I'm going to show you some outfit suggestions for that as well. However, if you are not somebody who's as bold as that, you don't like the print, but you kind of maybe just like a little hint of it, then it could be that you have a really simple outfit, or you could have a bright colour and then maybe just have a leopard print belt or a leopard print bag, or you're head to toe in a really simple neutral colour, but you've got a pair of leopard print shoes or boots. So you can go, I can kind of feel with this one, you can go as vibrant and as kind of extreme as you want to, really, but then also roll it right back down and keep it quite neutral and quite classic. So that's where it's quite fun, because you can kind of use your personality with this one. Now, number 2 is florals, like I mentioned earlier. Now, florals are usually something, in my experience, that come in the summer. So it's quite interesting that the florals have come through to autumn, because that's more unusual. You know, often I find that almost every year there are certain types of things that come in almost every year in one form or another. And that's often, you know, tweed for winter, stripes, sort of often sailor looking prints and styles and stripes for summer, and also florals is a big one for the summer as well. But this year it's actually come through to autumn. Now, what I would do if this was you and you like the idea of florals is, like I said, you can either go very simple, use it a little bit like you use the leopard print. You can just go with a simple floral neck scarf that you tie around your neck, or maybe you tie it around your bag as a bit of a feature if you don't like things around your neck, or dresses or tops or shirts. So again, you can go with those different stages a little bit like the leopard print and kind of use it in the best way that you want to use it. Now, one of the things that's become quite evident is the real kind of very rose prints, which is why I kind of mentioned it earlier when I was mentioning Dolce & Gabbana with the leopard print and the rose print in the 1990s. I've not seen it put together for this season, but it is something you could possibly do, or you wear them entirely separately. Now, with the roses and with the prints, you know, they were all over dresses. I also mentioned that back in the summer, I feel like this is a follow-on from the summer, because back in the summer there was also corsages and little rose brooches, etc., etc. So I still think you can carry that through to the autumn, because I am a big fan of reusing what you have in your wardrobe and not going out and getting more unless you absolutely need it and there's gaps. So if you've got anything like this in your wardrobe, absolutely consider getting it out for this season. Now, what can look really lovely in florals is floral velvets or floral cord, etc. Sometimes that can be, it's almost harking back to that 1960s, 1970s kind of style of things. So yeah, so florals is number 2. That is the second one in the trends that I've pulled out for you for autumn 2024. Now, the next one is a style of garment rather than a print, and that is peplum tops. Now, I always feel like you need to treat peplum tops quite carefully, because some of them can be quite structured and almost sort of doll shaped, you know, very kind of wide across here, and then they're very structured and they kind of very much stick out. Now, I'm always nervous of that a little bit, because if you are somebody who's trying to hide a tummy, yes, it will hide your tummy, but it will also make you look a lot wider. So I would suggest, if that's you and that's the case, because let's face it, a lot of people put on a little bit of weight around the middle, around this age, I would have a peplum top that skims that area rather than kind of very structured and almost sticks out away from the body. So they come in lots. You can also go for, they come in lots of different fabrics, lots of different styles. If you are very slim all the way up and down, you could definitely wear them with kind of a straight leg or a skinny pair of trousers, kind of to put an emphasis on that peplum shape. If you are somebody who's got a little bit more weight around the middle or around your bottom, then maybe go more for a straight leg or a wide leg trouser, or even like an A-line to kind of create that shape. But one thing that I would do, if you're a little bit either got a bit of weight around your tummy or you've got a bit weight around your bottom and hips as well, then definitely try and define the waist somehow. So with that peplum top, I would be nervous about having anything that hits the kind of midline of your hip, so in other words halfway, the widest part of your hip, because that could make you look very much like this, and we want to kind of have a little bit of definition there if we can. Now if you like the idea of peplum tops, but you're a little bit nervous that they are going to make you look bigger, then again use those tricks that I've talked about before. You know, maybe have a neck scarf around your neck or an interesting piece of jewellery. Draw the eye up to this area. But they can be, if they're done well and they're worked well, or worn well rather, they can be quite a good style and a forgiving style, rather than, you know, these more fitted kind of styles that we've seen, and crop tops etc. that we've seen coming back from the 90s. So yeah, peplum tops is my number 3. Number 4, I really like this one. In fact, you know, I quite like the florals. I'm wearing florals today. I quite like florals, but I also really like this one, and this is capes. So I'm not talking about Superman type capes or Harry Potter type capes. I'm talking about wool or tweed capes. Maybe they've got a little bit of a fur trim around the collar. Sometimes they can be in something like suede, but usually they're in a kind of woven wool type of fabric or similar. And often they have little slanted pockets at the sides. They're really classic, I think, and kind of timeless, and I really like that. I really like that style. I think it can look really lovely, worn really well. So what I would suggest you do with this is, if you've got anything like this, then I would wear the cape in one colour and have the rest of the outfit in another. I would generally, if you've got a little bit of weight on you, I would generally go darker underneath if you can. And again, stick to the same sort of wide leg, straight leg with trousers. But the other thing is with these as well, what you don't want to do is add too much bulk underneath them, because otherwise you'll look like this, you know, because the trouble is with capes is they are that slightly, it's unforgiving style, but it could also add extra bulk. And you know, I always talk about not adding extra bulk if you don't need to, in other words, in your bust and your tummy particularly. So you need to kind of be quite careful about how you play with these, because they're very much in that kind of very triangular shape. But what I would do in that instance is I would wear like a tailored or quite a fitted jacket or knitwear underneath it. That way you're not adding more to the bulk. You know, for example, wearing like a puffer jacket or like a faux fur coat or something like that underneath, A, that would be very warm, but B, also would add loads of bulk. So I actually have something a bit like this, and what I often do is I've got a leather biker jacket and I wear that underneath it, because it's kind of quite slim underneath, and then I've just got the cape over the top. So yeah, I really like this style. I think the kind of 1960s, 1970s sort of style. It's a little bit of fun, it's a little bit brave again, but it's one of my favourites. Now next up is a similar sort of follow on from the last one, and that's boleros. So think of kind of short capes that either very much evening wear, where they might be on a mesh and they might be beaded or bejewelled, and you wear them just over your shoulders, or the kind of more fur sort of stole kind of designs. So again, this is quite quirky, think kind of 1920s with this one. And either have them as something that you add, like a very plain dress. You might have, maybe you're going out for an evening, and you've got a very plain dress and you want to kind of dress that up a little bit. Then a kind of beaded kind of mesh stole can really dress that up. It can also cover the top half of your arms if that's something you're a little bit conscious of. But then if you want to go the other direction, you want to go with a sort of more fur sort of stoles, which I can also think look really lovely with really simple sort of classic knitwear underneath. Then think they can be a really nice way of adding a little bit of extra warmth when the temperature changes and it starts to feel a little bit cooler. So I would stick with stoles, particularly the fur varieties, whether, obviously I would choose faux fur, but in addition as well, I would choose more natural colours in that faux fur. In other words, I think like the brighter reds, bright pinks, etc., unless that's your thing, if it's your thing, then absolutely go for it. But I think generally they tend to look a little bit more cheaper, plus they will probably date very quickly. So if you're looking to add any of the pieces that I'm suggesting today to your wardrobe and a capsule wardrobe, and thinking about pieces that, although these are trending right now, will still look timeless, and I would definitely go for the more neutral, natural colours in that first stole. Next up on the list is colour blocking. Now, this was featured quite a lot in the catwalks, either with dresses with colour blocks, like one side maybe pink one side, grey the other, etc. Like think that kind of 1960s, very kind of, the black and the white London, very much shift dresses with black here, black square down the bottom, white there, white square at the top, but it was actually with colour. So colour blocking can be done in two ways. Either you have a piece that maybe has got different coloured panels down like a skirt or a dress, maybe it's got different coloured panels down the sides, or there's a block of colour in one part of the garment, which is actually a feature of the dress. So you can either have a piece like that if you've got a piece like that, or actually do it in the way that you wear clothes. So let's say you've got a pair of stone or charcoal grey pants or trousers, and then you wear a bright pink blouse or shirt. So you can actually do it in one way or the other. So always try and use what you've got in your wardrobe. If it's this kind of style that you like, that's equally important. But actually there's ways of doing it without actually going out and buying a piece. So yeah, colour blocking, it tends to be kind of a neutral colour with a very bright paint colour. Now the next one I wasn't sure whether to add in, because I feel like it's a little bit of a gimmicky, frivolous one, which I'm not a big fan of, but I do think maybe you can tweak this one to make it a little bit more classic for you, and that is bag charms. Now if you're looking at me going, what is a bag charm? You know that recently that all the kids were going around with phone charms, so these little charms and bits and pieces hanging off their phones, which is why I'm saying it almost feels like a recipe for landfill. But I think there's ways that you can do this, and maybe you particularly like, I don't know, maybe let's say you're a fan of birds, or there's a particular type of charity you like, and there's some sort of emblem or something that's associated with that you can hang on your bag. Or maybe it's something with a photo in it that's a piece of jewellery that you can hang on your bag, or maybe with a family member in it or something like that. So I think with things like this, the ones that I've seen, the vast majority are kind of that very typical, almost like gimmicky thing, which most of us don't really need. But if you do like the idea of dressing up your bag and just threading it through the bottom half of your handbag strap, then maybe consider something that will feel really good to you. You know, that either has maybe a message on it that means a lot to you, is something from a family member, or, you know, carries a memory that feels good for you. Maybe it's something you pick up on holiday. So just kind of, rather than just getting a bag charm for the sake of getting a bag charm, maybe it's something a little bit more involved than that. Now next up was suits and tailoring. Now, I know if you're in this age group and you're over 60 that I speak to quite a few of you privately. By the way, if any of you need help with your capsule wardrobe or colour or style or decluttering or any of those things, book in for a consultation with me, and I'll put the link here, and we can have a chat about how I can help you. So, suits. Now, I know this is a bit of a funny one, and again, I kind of wanted to put this in because I don't want to put everybody in the same category, but I know a few of you who've worked in very corporate careers, and you're very much at the end of that now, and you're maybe looking to move away from it and get rid of all those. So if that's you, then absolutely just ignore this part of the suggestion. But if you're going to go for this very much tailored look, I would definitely avoid all that oversized cuts that have been around recently. It's very much disappearing now, which I think is fantastic, because I thought it was the most ridiculous trend anyway. The sad thing is a lot of it is probably going to end up in landfill. But go for something that's much more tailored, and what I would do is go for something that's versatile for you. So I tend to like kind of very natural fabrics. I like cottons and linens and wools, etc. So when I'm going for something like that, I tend to go for those type of fabrics depending on the season. Now I think linen's mainly a kind of spring summer kind of fabric, but actually I think it can follow through to autumn as well, and you can just have lots of layering, particularly in this time of life. If you're still suffering from menopause and you're still getting a few of those hot flashes, then layering is absolutely key anyway. So I would go for something that suits your body type, that's a cut that suits your body type. Again, if you need help with that, book in for consultation with me. And so choose maybe a pair of trousers, a blazer and a skirt. The reason why I say that, if it's something that you like and you like the idea of having some tailoring in your wardrobe, then you can actually wear the pieces separately, or you can wear them as one. So you can wear the jacket and the skirt if you need to do something smart one day, or the same with the pants, or you can wear the blazer on its own with a pair of jeans, or the skirt with a t-shirt, or whatever it is. You can either dress it up or dress it down. So that type of thing, that type of tailoring can be really versatile in your wardrobe, which is why eventually I decided to include it. Now, number 9 is another one that comes back every single autumn winter that I think I've ever seen, and that is tweed. So, but this time think about herringbone, think very much Saltburn. I don't know if you've seen the film, I don't even know whether any of you'd like the film, but think very much British countryside, the royals at Balmoral, you know, wear that tweed with, you know, even knickerbockers are coming back, so actually that's a whole other level of whether you'd want to go down that route. I actually quite like them, but yeah, so think tweed, herringbone tweed, and wear it with kind of very sort of almost chunky sort of knitwear. So think those very natural sort of wool and maybe cotton in kind of off-white, ivory, beige colours, then with your herringbone. So it's very much British countryside, sporting, you know, taking a walk through the countryside with your spaniels. That's the kind of look that I'm talking about. So obviously with that as well, I quite like it, but because it can look very classic and very stylish, but I think the way in which you do it is, again, you can either go quite quirky and have the herringbone. You know, there's some fantastic brands out there now that do kind of herringbone and amazing like jackets or trousers or skirts with really amazing linings. I happen to know a tailor quite close to me that's renowned for doing that. So, you know, you can make it quite quirky, or you can go quite simple again with those neutral colours. So kind of go as far as you want in either direction. But so, you know, essentially, but it's born out of that very British countryside kind of look. Now, last but not least, number 10 is off-piste jumpers and knitwear. Now, this is probably my favourite. When I was at university, I went to a pre-loved secondhand store and I found a ski jumper, and it was kind of white, black and bright pink. It sounds awful, but it was a very classic kind of that, or almost kind of 1970s look ski jumper, and I wore it to death. I absolutely loved it until one day in my youth, where I wasn't very good at washing things, and I washed it and I shrank it and I never got a chance to wear it again. So in this instance, think of Argyle prints, think of Fair Isle prints, and again you can go as bright or as neutral as you like. I really like the idea of wearing these either with jeans, really casual, or you wear them with tweed, which look great. I know that's not the off-piece, but it works, particularly if it's the Argyle or the Fair Isle and it's quite a neutral colour. And the other thing is that you can wear it with cord. So you can, if you're kind of an autumnal colour, you can have all those wonderful warm colours that you get where the seasons change and you've got all the leaves everywhere. Think of all those colours together in those prints. If you're kind of cooler, you can go very much for the kind of cool blues, the burgundies, with a kind of silver running through it. And all of that would work really well. So that's one of my favourite ones. So it's off-piste, is kind of those very traditional looking ski jumpers. So I hope you found it helpful today. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see. And also head over to my website, where on the top of the page, the capsuleclosetstylist.com, you'll see a big pink banner. If you click on that, you can download a free capsule wardrobe planner, which takes you through all the steps that I guide you through. You can fill it all out as you go along as well, about building capsule wardrobe. So have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.